Okay. So this question has actually come directly from one of my students, like live and direct. So shout her out. But yeah, so it was basically how to and why it's important to control your behavior as a young person. Okay. Yeah, just what are your thoughts on that? Like, it's because it's kind of a two-part question, isn't it? Like, one, how to control your behavior, and the second part is why it's important to control your behavior. Let's start with the why first, I think.
Why?
Why is it important to control your behavior as a young person?
Yeah, I think, and we spoke about this in another episode where we mentioned the private school kids.
Yeah.
And how, I think it was the episode about the school rules.
Yeah.
And how the point of rules in a private school setting is it's linked to their future. Yeah. Where it's like, don't do this because one day you will be like this. Yeah. And you want to be acting this sort of way. And a lot of state schools and even more poorer state schools, that link between an action and a destiny isn't there. And so people do actions without knowing where it's going to guide them. And so even that, why is it important to control your behavior? Well, if you link controlled behavior to an end goal, it makes clearer sense in the sense of, we can make it as superficial as the Oscars or the Grammys. And we might talk about him in a later episode further down the line. Yeah. But a Kanye with a Taylor Swift was an out of control behavior. Yeah. Everyone can see that. But we see that sort of behavior in school all the time.
All the time. All the time.
All the time.
And the teacher said amen.
And so, why do you need to control your behavior? Well, because when you get to a Grammys, you just can't do that stuff.
You can't.
But if you don't see yourself there, then maybe, right, be an animal then. Yeah. And so I think the first question is, how are you viewing yourself in 5-10 years time? If you view yourself in the prison cell, then hey, go ahead.
Go for it.
Be as wild as you want. But if you actually see yourself being a decent human being, you just can't act the way you act. Yeah.
And being in a respectable professional, being a respectable part of your community. Yeah.
And self-denial is an underrated skill. If you can't control your behavior and your urges, it's going to play out in other ways that is very detrimental.
100%.
Whether it be weight, whether it be porn, whether it be different areas, money, you just can't stop spending. Yeah. You're going to realize that the theme for all of them is a lack of control. You haven't exercised the ability to see an urge and say no.
You're preaching now. Preaching now, boy.
So I would say that it's a bigger concept than just your teacher says be quiet. It's way larger than that. It's got nothing to do with him telling you to be quiet. This is your whole... Yeah. This literally hangs your destiny. Yeah. Where you're going to be, your career. Yeah. The person you're going to marry. Yeah. What about if you can't control yourself so much that you're always outraged and anger and all this flares out? There's things that you're not seeing. And so it would be so good, and this is why we're doing this podcast, if we can just show you guys the potential futures you could have, and then bring it back to where you are today and say, okay, this is why you should be doing X, Y, Z, and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, in a nutshell, you've pretty much answered the question. I don't know if there's much more I can add to the why part of it. And, you've even alluded to some of the how, really. I think the how is one thing you can do is have an idea of who you want to be or where you want to be in 5, 10, 15 years time. Find out how that person behaves or how that version of you should behave, and start doing it today. You know, and it's hard. I think the challenge for young people, and again, sort of, you know, I'm a secondary school teacher, so this question has come from a secondary school student, but I think it's, you know, it's pretty universal across the board when you're talking about the educational settings, primary, secondary, college, uni. Not so much uni, but some of the others, definitely. It's important to have that foresight, isn't it? But how do we, being the ones doing this podcast, being the, you know, the guys with the knowledge and the experience, how do we communicate that clearly and effectively? That's the challenge I face as a teacher every day, because I'm using the words that I know, I'm using my past experience, I'm using everything that I can. I try to draw on analogies and examples, and I've done it all: the tellings off, the detentions, the kind of polite, please stop doing that, you know, and I've done the banter side of it. I've, you know, had the quiet little chats outside the classroom, and I'm doing it all, and I've been teaching for a number of years. And sometimes, and I think some of my colleagues would agree, sometimes the scary thought is behavior's just getting worse. Do you know what I mean? And I think some of this is the result of the pandemic and the subsequent lockdowns and whatnot, and the effect that had on mental health. For me, some of it is definitely coming from social media. There are trends on social media that encourage young people to do destructive things. I don't know if you remember or heard about the cutting of the plastic chairs with the string from the masks. No. So, you know, obviously the mask we had to wear, the string that goes around your ear. Yeah. That is actually capable of cutting plastic chairs. The plastic chairs at school, yeah. And this was the whole thing on TikTok. And it was happening at my school. So when we first saw it, I was chatting to one of my colleagues the other day. She said to me, like a few of us thought that kids were bringing knives into school and cutting the chairs, because literally chunks cut out of a chair. And we didn't know how or why it was happening. So we were like really concerned, thinking someone or some people had been bringing knives in. But then, you know, a bit of fishing around, something popped up on TikTok, and they realized the trend was to take the mask, take the string bit, the white string bit, and just rub it. And I think it's something to do with friction. You know, shout out the science teachers, they probably understand it more than I do. But it must be something to do with the friction and, you know, the material that string is made of. It's able to cut the plastic chairs. That's destructive behavior. Yeah. And again, we had our sort of staff briefing meeting in the morning the other day, and there's a new thing now on social media, I think it's TikTok, where kids are being encouraged to break into a school and just to run riot, film themselves running riot, and then post it on social media. And it's already happened to a few schools sort of in our local area. And we're just like, it's coming, let's brace ourselves kind of thing, and let's prepare ourselves. So, you know, I say all of that to say, it's like you said, if you want to be a destructive member of society or a destructive member of your family, if you want to go to prison, if you want to waste valuable years in your late teens and your 20s, even in your 30s, if you kind of want to be the loud out drinking, or you want to be the druggy, kind of just getting high and messing around, if that's what you want to do, then these bad behaviors you're doing now are in line with that. And if you're happy with that, cool. Like, we'll just,
along with all the consequences.
Along with all the consequences, and that I was going to get to that, and I'm glad you said that. Like, if you're happy with being that destructive person, and having that negative effect on your life and all the consequences that come with it, then keep behaving the way that you are, you know, and you'll go through the system and you'll get the results that you've planned for. However, if you want to be a constructive member of your family, a constructive member of society, if you want to have a respectable profession, if you want to make good money and manage your money well, manage your time well, you know, and do all of the things and profit from all of the opportunities that come with life, then get your behavior in line with where you want to be and who you want to be. Because like, and I've seen kids do some crazy things. And as I've said before, like, you know, officially on Ofsted, and even in my opinion, my school's a good school. Like, even in my school, I've seen kids do some crazy things, like stupid things. And some of my students listening, they know I could call them out. Like, they know I can. Like, I'm not going to. It gets techie, but they know I can. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but I've seen it. Just animalistic behavior. Strange noises. Very loud, strange noises. Like play fighting in the middle of a lesson.
Yeah.
Imagine being at your place. Imagine being at work. Like you're in the office. You just put someone in a headlock. What? What? You're being marched out, mate. P45 on your bike. Yeah. Good night. Do you know what I'm saying?
And then the counter argument is, but I'm just a kid. And so, how do you answer that? How do you deal with that? But
yeah,
the truth is, you're a kid because, and this is the one that irks me more, is the same person that would say society doesn't define me is the same person that would say, well, but I'm a kid.
I'm just a kid.
Okay, but who told you you're a kid?
Society.
Because, and we've spoken about this before, in certain cultures, you're an adult at 13.
Yeah, we need that here.
You're, in their eyes, in certain cultures, you're a full adult. Mm-hmm. You're a bill-paying, hard-working man, woman at 13. Mm-hmm. So by the time you're 16, you're nearly hitting midlife crisis.
That's it.
18 is like, oh, yeah. 18 and you ain't got a job. Yeah. 18 and you're not married. 18. Yeah. In their minds. And so you're a kid or a child. Okay, who told you that? Mm. And so you've got to understand that you're not as unique is probably a harsh word, but you're not as free as you think because you're still functioning in the societal constructs that
exist
powers
around
that be.
All of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I'd refute that and say, no, you're an adult. Yeah. Fix up.
Straight.
You're not a kid. It depends on how you see it, but that mindset really, you just don't understand how much it's crushing you.
Yeah. But I think this is a good segue to bring parents into the conversation because, and I've spoken to parents on the phone, you know, and you know, I've had conversations with colleagues who have spoken to parents on the phone. And the thing is, parents reinforce that, they're just a kid mindset. They reinforce it. Oh, you know, well, he's chatty in class. Oh, yeah, he loves a bit of a chat. What? In lesson? No. Do you know what I mean? That can't run. But parents reinforce that a lot. And again, I'm not a parent, so I'm not judging. I'm not calling anyone out. But I'm saying perhaps parents need to consider how they talk to their children. Are you talking to your children like, you know, he or she is a young man or woman? Or are you talking to them like they're still an infant?
Exactly.
Because infants are children, you know. Pre-10, you're a kid. Yeah, you know,
pretty much every society.
Yeah, you got toys and you can run around, you can kick ball and ride your bike, and you're a kid. You're supposed to do that, and you know, play and learn through play and discover your character and you know, your personality. But it's true, by the time you hit kind of 12, 13, it's adult time. And
or at least the beginnings of.
At least the beginnings of that is straight. And the funny thing is, like, I've actually started talking to my students like that.
Kids are adults.
As I talk to them as young adults. I say, you're a young man, you're a young woman. Mm-hmm. Like, I've started using these words on purpose. Mm-hmm. Because even if I'm the only voice in their whole life saying it, hopefully I want them to understand that that's what's actually going on. You know, we use the analogy of it being cold outside. When you step outside, it's cold. Mm-hmm. You might say, you know, it's 5 degrees and I like 5 degrees. It's nice. It's cold, regardless of whether you like it or not. it's cold. So regardless of whether you believe you're an adult or not, you have responsibilities. There is a level of maturity that you're gonna have to kind of sort of practice in your life, because as you progress through your schooling and through the rest of your life, you know, there are going to be things that are expected of you, and you can't handle those irresponsibly or immaturely. You can't. Otherwise, you fail. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, we see that that mindset all too often. I'm just a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, but sir, you messed around at school when you were a kid, and you've turned out okay. But you're not me. And I've said to my students quite boldly, and forgive me if it sounds arrogant, a lot of people are not prepared to do what I had to do to get to where I am. And I'm not saying I'm like, you know, with Bill Gates' money in the bank, but I've worked very hard to achieve the level of success I have. I'm passionate about my job. I love what I do. And I thank God for the life that I have, you know, but back in my 20s, I had to dig really deep because I wasted so much of my teens. I had to dig so deep. And I've actually, you know, I actually believe that looking at the state mental health is in at the moment, I don't want to be the prophet of doom, but sometimes I think it's crisis levels coming at us, man, because a lot of the worst behaved children now, they're going to be projected into their late teens and 20s. They would have wasted their secondary education, wasted their A-level time, wasted those early years of uni. They're going to land in their early 20s with nothing to show for it. And that blast of cold wind is going to hit them hard.
Yeah.
And they're going to spiral into all kinds of depressions and anxieties and loss of control, eating disorder.
There's that new term now, isn't it? Quarter life crisis.
Yeah, see it there?
It's no longer midlife.
It's quarter life.
Brought it all the way back to quarter life. And quarter life is that moment. Just come out of A levels, maybe uni, and it's just like.
And it's funny you say that, because I remember when I was about 24, I remember saying to myself, and I literally said this was years ago, I'm having a mid-20s crisis. And I coined that phrase and kind of used it for myself. So it's funny that people are saying that now. Was it quarter life crisis? Yeah, unfortunately, for the worst behave of our young people today, that's what's coming for some of them, man. So this is another reason why it's important to control your behavior, because you don't want that quarter life crisis, because it's scary.
Yeah.
And the truth is, some of you won't make it back. You won't make it back.
Yeah.
You will hit that quarter life crisis. It's going to ruin your mental health for the rest of your life. It's just the facts. You know, the statistics speak for themselves. You know, I know people who, okay, it's a slightly different context, but people who ended up on drugs, and today they're either dead or they're on like serious, you know, mental health medication. They haven't made it back. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? And this is why it's so important to start to control your behavior now, when you are 12, 13, 14, 15. Control it now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I think that's it.
I think it's worth adding a positive spin though. Because let's look at the society that we live in. A lot of your entertainment, a lot of your social medias, a lot of your influencers and, you know, whoever, they are going to encourage you to do silly things. And I think there's a time and a space for that. The playground, you know, the holidays, the weekends, the evenings, you know, when you got a bit of time and you want to mess around, and because you kind of got to have that balance. You know, you've got all these hormones and all this energy bouncing around in you, and it can be fun. You know, you got to bit of banter going with your friends, or there's something you and your crew find funny, laugh about it and mess around and enjoy that inappropriate spaces. Do you know what I'm saying? And share that with people when it's appropriate to, because sometimes the kids say hilarious things and I'm in stitches. Do you know what I mean? So there's a time and a place for it, you know, and it can be fun, and it can be appropriate, and it can be welcomed, it can be lighthearted, and it can be in line with developing good character as well, because a sense of humor is important. Having fun is important. Learning different ways of expressing yourself is important, and part of that is antics and messing around. We've all done it, so there's a place for that, but you have to know when to stop. I think that's the key.
And even the word control doesn't necessarily mean to negate. Like, it doesn't mean if I control my anger, that doesn't mean I don't have it. It just means I know when to use it, and I can say now,
That's right.
justified anger,
Yeah.
righteous anger, and I can say no in the foolish anger. So what you're saying is true. Like, it's not like you cannot have emotions. It's more that knowing when and where to use it, which is a skill that it goes very far. I mean, there's a lot of people that later in life would definitely wish I could hone those skills.
100%.
Yeah, when you're all 20 odd, 30 odd, 40 odd, 50 odd, and you still don't know how to hold yourself in terms of emotions, it's more evident. Because in school, if everyone's acting animalistic, the school's a zoo, so it's fine. I'm an animal with my peers, but when you actually get to corporate, and you start screaming and you realize no one else is screaming with you, now you actually look like an animal. And that's when questions are asked. That's when medication might be, and you might actually be okay. Like, you actually might not need medication, but you're so used to not controlling your emotions that now it's made you in a category that it's not favorable to you.
Absolutely. You know, and I think it's just about like, how would I say it? Like, you've got people that can help you. Like, if you are serious as a young person, if you're serious about understanding some of these concepts and getting some support with some of this, because it's not easy. You know, that's what I was going to say earlier as well. Like, you've built up all these habits. If I'm angry, shout. If I want to laugh, make a joke. If I want to, get up and walk around, just do it. And you've allowed yourself to build up these habits. A large part of our character is the habits that we have, right? But if you've gotten to a point where you think, okay, you know what, I've got some bad habits, I want to break them, or Jimmy, Jeff, I hear what you're saying, like, I'm thinking about my life in even 2 years' time, and I need to be a certain way, so I want to get on that path now. There are people that, can help you. Listen to their advice. Act on the things that they say. Look at their patterns of behavior and use that as an example. It could be parents, other elders in your family, older siblings, a teacher, or if you're at uni, a professor or a lecturer. There are people, and again, there are people on social media, like this quote culture, kind of quotes and memes and stuff. I hate it. It drives me nuts because a lot of people making these quotes, they're not living that life. But some of the quotes are really good. So, and I've realized I've got loads of them. Like, they're just stored in my head, and obviously because I write bars,
right.
words store in my head quite easily. So, but some of the things you do see on social media, and some of the positive quotes, because that's one thing that's good. A lot of the quotes are positive, and if they're practiced, they actually are valuable to your life. They bring value to your life. So, if you are someone who kind of likes quotes, or you like memes, like, start to practice the words that these memes and stuff are preaching. Start to practice it. I mean, one that comes to mind is, be the difference you want to see, or be the change you want to see, or something like that. And I heard that and I was just like, actually, I like that. and I'm going to start doing that. And I'm a grown man. Do you know what I mean? Be the change you want to see. I put it in the context of road rage. I don't like road rage. I don't think anyone should do it, so I don't do it. If someone cuts me up, I just grip the steering wheel tight. I breathe. I turn the music up a bit. I just keep it moving. Because I don't. That's one example, but embody some of these quotes and try to practice them. Speak to elders in your family, in your network, in your community, at your school. Get advice and practice the things that people say and people guide and instruct you to do.
I guess to wrap up this episode, you can also just message us.
Yeah, we know a thing or two.
Yeah, exactly. So if there is a question you want to ask or a thing on your mind, send it in the comments if you're brave enough to put your name to it. Or if not, email us at tcrpod@outlook.com or Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Use the handle TCRUKPOD. DM us there or email us, and we'll definitely answer it personally.
Yeah.
And then if you'd like us to put it on YouTube, or if you'd allow us to, we'd also do that too. But the usuals, you know what to do: like, comment, subscribe,
share. Definitely share.
We're trying
and I'd throw in as well, if you're feeling super brave, send us a voice note or a recorded voice message, and we might even play your question.
Good shout.
And then respond to your question. So you get a little feature on the pod as well.
Yeah, for real.
So give that a try.
Yeah. We're trying to build something here. The common room is gonna be a place where normal people can get access to elite wisdom.
100% for free at this stage.
Yeah. We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.
Cool.